Okay, first thing we'll see new features or the differences that were added in 12c, changed in 12c, especially from the point of implementation. There are a lot of changes, small minor changes kind of thing, internal changes, but all of them will be too much internal. But we will see more noticeable features or noticeable changes that actually were implemented in 12c compared to 11g. 12c is actually after 10.3.6 of WebLogic. Now there is no 11 version, so you got 12.1.1 and 12.1.2. That's release 2. That's even between 12.1.1 and 12.1.2 there are a lot of changes, but not that much. So the 12c itself is having some additional features that 11g doesn't have, and there are a lot of bug fixes that were there. So all the clients at Oracle recommendation is to if you are starting it new, directly go ahead with 12c instead of 11g 10.3.6. 12c has better features, better stability, less bugs. So that's a recommendation from Oracle. So we will see what are major changes or major features that were included in 12c compared to 11. I mean at the 10.3.6. Now, if you observe, this is not a specific order as such. I've just included the changes as I came across and went through the documents. This is a new component that was added in 12c, Oracle Traffic Director, but this is front end to WebLogic, not the WebLogic itself. 12c will include what is called a web cache, which is currently available. If you see a typical architecture, just give me a moment. So normally, if you see current architecture is like you have WebLogic. WebLogic like this, alright, and then you have Apache HTTP server, and in front of Apache HTTP server there is a component called web cache. Now the web cache, usually what it does is it stores the frequently accessed pages. This is web cache. After web cache, usually you have Apache or Oracle HTTP server. This is then you usually got a WebLogic server, app server. This is the current architecture. Now this web cache is gone. Now the web cache, now if you see, depending on the architecture, the Apache web cache layer is basically for static content. But if the static content itself has too many requests, instead of Apache going to the hard disk every time to fetch a page, it stores it, it buffers it in a web cache component which is in front of Apache. So the static content request, which is very frequent, gets served from the web cache itself. Now the web cache is gone. We got a new component called Oracle Traffic Director, and that actually takes care of redirecting or integration with the WebLogic app server. But still we have OHS, Oracle HTTP server, and the integration will also be available. And apart from this, a more noticeable change for WebLogic in 12c is its connectivity or its integration with the database. Now it is heavily integrated with database, and it now depends on the Oracle notification service and what is called the grid link to basically give super failover and load balancing across the nodes of a rack. Earlier you have what is called a multi-source. Now the multi-source is still there, but instead of depending on purely on a multi-source, to load balance across multiple nodes of database, which depend more on ONS services. That gives pooling, that gives session affinity. Session affinity in a sense, if node 1 of a database is currently connected with managed server 1, it's very likely that node 1 again will connect to managed server 1. That's a kind of session affinity, so that you don't have to recreate the session, just like your HTTP, what we call stickiness, the session stickiness. The same thing now available in at database level. That's one noticeable feature. Now what Oracle claims is because of those features, it improves the speed almost 3 times. So you have a much faster connection between WebLogic and database now in 12c compared to the previous versions. Now this is probably a second edition. Now, apart from this, these are some of the additions that from a developer's perspective, HTML5 is included. That includes annotations, and I think because of the annotations, what they say is the number of XML lines coding will reduce. I'm not really sure how that would impact the overall this thing, but I just picked up a couple of lines from a developer's perspective. Now obviously macOS support is there, that was not there earlier. And apart from this, there is another type of installer now coming along. Earlier there used to be a single installer kind of, so you got a 700 MB or 800 MB installation. Everybody have to download it and they have to use it. But this time in 12c, just for developers and for quick download and installation, it comes as a very lightweight installer, about 200 MB or 168 MB, that developers especially can download and start testing things. That's these are a couple of things that the developers might be able to like. Apart from that, there are some new features I've added, and this is a very nice article here. I'm going to send you this PPT, so make sure you go through this article. It really gives you a very nice new features of 12c kind. 50 minutes. If you go through it, what happened? Plugin not supported. So this is a very nice presentation by it's all new features, some of interactive included some of the points from the presentation as well, so the important points, but it talks about a lot of other features that are in internal features. Just make sure you go through that one also. I'm going to send you this PPT after we are done with this. Apart from this, there are a couple of other things. This might be from a administrator perspective or an architect perspective, how things would change a little bit. Now earlier you have each installer was kind of platform specific in 11g. If it is a Windows, you download Windows, then if it is Unix or Linux, you download Linux. Now there is no platform specific installer, they're all generic installers. Means you have a jar file, that's it. So first you download the JDK, you install your JDK, then use the same jar file for installing anywhere. Now this generic installer was available in 11G also, but apart from the generic installer, you have platform specific installers also. In 12C, the platform specific installers are gone, so you have only a generic installer, which means installation has to be done. First, JDK you must install. On top of JDK, you use the jar file to install your WebLogic. Apart from that, the zip installer I told you, which is for developers, that is another installer. Now, apart from that, earlier you used to have bsu.sh. This is an upgrade tool, BEA Smart Upgrade tool, or a BEA Smart Upgrade utility. That's what used to be called. If you see on the server, it's usually under utilities directory. Excuse me. So if you see, pick up any of our BEA installations, BEA 10G. Go to utils, tools. You see BSU there. This one. This is actually the upgrade utility, BEA Smart Upgrade. That's what it used to be called. Now the Smart Upgrade is gone in 12C. The BEA Smart Upgrade is gone. It's changed with what is called OPatch. OPatch is will be available. OPatch is a much simpler tool. It's already available, OPatch, but bsu.sh was also available in DaVinci. So now it's completely gone, the bsu.sh, and OPatch is the one that will completely take care of patching, upgrading, everything, a single command. All that you have to do is, yes.
When you said about the Mac OS, you meant from the client side, right? As a client, as a browser, now the Mac can use this WLS application. Is that what you meant? Or you meant as a server?
As a server,
as a server. The WLS server.
As a server,
I see.
Server, yeah. And yeah, so the BEA Smart Upgrade is gone. Instead of BEA Smart Upgrade, we only have OPatch now. That's from an upgrade perspective, especially for an administrator. Now the cluster thing is more from an architect perspective or implementation perspective. This is probably the most noticeable feature that were included in WebLogic. A dynamic cluster means now if you observe now till 11G, you have the number of managed servers in a cluster are fixed. Means we create a cluster, we add servers to it. Those number of servers cannot be changed during the peak load or anything. What this dynamic cluster does is you define the number of nodes. Let's say if the load on the existing servers is reached a threshold, you can define in a way start a new node or start a new managed server instance. So a dynamic cluster, you will simply define the number of managed servers in the dynamic cluster, and WebLogic will start up or shut down managed servers automatically depending on the load. So it takes a template. We define this dynamic cluster and we define a template based on which it should create those managed servers, obviously. So the feature is, you have more load, WebLogic automatically kicks in a new instance. The load goes down, those servers, that server will go down. So that's a new, which is not available feature, completely added into WebLogic. So if you see probably the corresponding change in your admin console, you got a dynamic cluster here. Earlier you have clusters. In clusters, now you have a couple of new clusters, as the regular cluster and the dynamic cluster. Dynamic cluster is where you define the number of max number of nodes during peak load, That way WebLogic automatically starts new nodes when required. So those nodes will go down once the load goes off. This is one probably the most important feature that is not there in 10.3.6 and which is available in 12c. Apart from that, there is a grid application, GAR application it's called. It's a grid application archive. This is a new type of application, especially for coherence. If you see, a coherence is basically a replacement for Oracle HTTP replication. If you remember, we have talked about HTTP session replication in WebLogic, and WebLogic itself using a cluster provides HTTP session replication. That is for static content. Now what JSPs pages, sorry, not even static content, JSPs, let's say, and JSPs and servlets, that's HTTP session replication. Now what coherence does is a similar thing, but at a much higher level. Means you have replication for all types of Java objects. Basically, coherence as a it's a product actually. So the product comes or gets installed on top of WebLogic as a separate layer, and that layer provides all this high availability. It takes care of the session replication. WebLogic cluster does not have to explicitly do that session replication. The coherence as a product which is sitting on top of WebLogic takes care of this thing. Now such coherence applications can be created, and they will be usually bundled into a grid application archive, which is a GAR file. Now the GAR files, again, they can be bundled into an AR file or as a separate .gr file. That's a new application that can be deployed to the entire coherence, what is called the coherence grid. So if you have a coherence application, now the question is, do we want a coherence grid on our environment or not? Coherence grid is, think of coherence grid like this. Instead of HTTP session replication, you are installing another product called coherence that gives better features. Means, unlike HTTP session replication is a very basic form of failover, whereas coherence is a very high availability. Means you can add, delete nodes on the fly, just like a dynamic cluster. It gives better features than regular, very simple HTTP session replication. Now, if you are implementing that kind of coherence, high availability, you may want an application to use those features. So if you are developing an application which wants to use those coherence features, that application would be bundled into a GAR file, a grid application archive file. So that would get deployed to the coherence layer of WebLogic. Coherence is a Java product. It's a Java application, sits on top of WebLogic. Alright, so then a couple of more. Again, this is a minor feature change. Response file, instead of a response file, the silent installation we had, which actually uses a silent underscore XML. Now you have a response file based installation, just like any other Oracle installation. Now Oracle is trying to unify all types of installations into a single model. If you observe, all Oracle installations include a response file, especially the database, or nowadays SOA, OSP, all those things. All of them use a response file model. Now even WebLogic comes with a response file model, just like silent XML. Instead of passing a silent XML, you pass a response file now. Now another thing is upgrades. The name has been changed. Earlier there is an upgrade wizard that we're going to use upgrade wizard to upgrade our WebLogic from 10.3.0, which we are running currently, to 10.3.6. Upgrade wizard again is a binary file, bin file. You download it from downloads location on Oracle support area, Once you download the upgrade wizard, you simply run it. But the upgrade wizard is gone now, and it's called reconfiguration wizard. Apart from that, node manager is another thing. We will talk about node manager towards the end of our sessions. Node manager is outside WebLogic domain. What it does basically is it monitors WebLogic servers. It makes sure the health of the service is good, and the most important feature of a node manager is it can automatically restart WebLogics in case they fail, or that's the most important reason why you would implement a node manager. It will for automatic crash recovery. Then that node manager earlier used to have, now we currently have it at what is called your entire BA installation level. You have one installation, one node manager will take care of all the domains coming out of that installation. And now what has been changed is the node manager is at a domain level. You will understand this feature more when we talk about node manager in our own sessions. But earlier it's at installation level, now it's individual domains level. Means if an installation has 5 domains, you run the config.sh 5 times and created 5 different domains, then you pretty much have 5 different node managers this time. Then the cloning thing was introduced. Cloning is already available. It's not that cloning is not available. But, a new WLST internal command was added to clone the manage server from command prompt. Otherwise, manage server cloning is already available from console. So instead of along with console, we also have a cloning thing from WLST. So this is a dynamic cluster part. This is from a database perspective. Oracle database is now very tightly integrated with 12c. It's pretty much like a package. GridLink actually is now available. GridLink is what it uses the Oracle notification service, ONS. Instead of a listener model, we have a ONS model now. ONS model basically provides the high availability across rack nodes. It has other features like these 3 features. I'm not really sure, or didn't go deep into these features yet. They sounded more like a database and a concept. Probably I'll go through them sometime later, but if you get time, see what these features are from a database perspective. Application continuity, DRCP pooling, global data services. I'm not really sure what they mean at this point. I still have to go through them. Looks like some additional features from a 12c perspective, but I'm not really sure on that part. So these, the idea of having these additional features is to provide a very high level of failover in terms of WebLogic to database connection. That's the purpose of all these features. It's, the integration with WebLogic and database now is it's a kind of 100% fail proof. That's what all these features actually aim to do. And obviously you have got Oracle database 12c support and 12c of WebLogic. Apart from that, JDK also is 1.7 supported. So that's from a JDK perspective and a database perspective. And this is one change probably you might already understand. If you observed yesterday, the day before yesterday, the GMS servers we have targeted to individual managed servers. Now the GMS servers can be targeted to a cluster in 12c. That's one noticeable change. because even though it's the JMS server is targeted to a cluster, you have individual instances of JMS server everywhere, and each of those JMS servers will have a corresponding persistent store. It will try to do what is Deepak, as you said, it's better if we have a common storage. You can pick it up and write it to the same storage. We are actually moving towards that kind of setup. Currently, it's not at there, but once the JMS server is targeted to a cluster, basically we will move to a storage method wherein multiple JMS servers can write to a single persistent store. That's a model we are trying to move to. So what I would say from a 12c perspective is the features perspective. Most noticeable features on a daily basis would be a dynamic cluster is the most important feature. Apart from that, if you have upgrades, that would be a O patch instead of bsu.sh. That's something that you commonly do. And then you would have a coherence application, a GAR file newly introduced. Then these are developers related activities we are not really are not visible, at least. And you will have more integration, a better integration with Oracle database. So overall, I would say it's much faster. That's what I would look from a overall perspective. WebLogic is much faster, especially when integrated with Oracle database now. It integrates better, it performs faster, and couple of changes in terms of availability, especially because of the dynamic cluster, and support for the latest JDK, the 1.7. So that's what I'm saying. 12c offers.
Anil.
Yes.
Anil.
Yes.
Is 12c is meant for the cloud version, right?
Yes, 12 cloud. That's right.
So I was eagerly looking for the where this I mean at which layer this cloud is getting supported. So what part is supporting for the cloud? The WebLogic.
Yeah, that's a nice question. That's not there actually. It's still the same.
Okay.
There's no cloud convince that changed features or anything that are currently not there, and all of a sudden we are including. No. It's more like it works like an application grid kind of thing. So cloud, in a sense, the availability in terms of let's say coherence is probably one way of saying it's in cloud, but that's already there in 11g, so not exclusive to 12c. Coherence, what makes WebLogic behave, look like a cloud server, cloud app server, because of the high availability that it provides. But other than that, there is no specific feature that's added only in 12c that's making it like cloud. One noticeable feature I would think is a dynamic cluster.
Okay.
Other than that, not very much like a cloud feature that we usually see.
So Oracle coherence, Anil, is new in 12c or was there in 10.3.6 also?
It's there in 10.3.6.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah,
so
it's
it has been there. It has been there. So it's not new, anything like that, eh?
It's not new. It's not new.
Oh, so was it there before 10.3.6 also, or it was?
It was there from 10.3.3 onwards.
Oh, okay. So that's not something new, huh? Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Then so how it is providing the features of cloud then? So apart from this Java J2 applications and Flow applications, so the how it is going to serve the cloud applications then?
WebLogic.
Oh yeah.
No, you mean that was not done in 11, and that was not done in 10.3 and was done in 12c.
Yes.
No, there is no noticeable difference. It's same. A 12c is more like we are moving towards cloud. That's it. But the cloud features were already there in 10.3.6.
Okay.
The features were already included before 12c itself. 12c does not come with anything exclusive except for the dynamic clusters. And obviously you will see a better integration with database. That's guaranteed.
Okay.
On the back
No,
end, you have
I'm not.